Okay, hopefully the last video took. If not, I don't know what I'm going to do. Anyways, some people say there's 10 laws of exponents. Some say, 6, and then you have different parts, so you can number it different ways. This one, and again, the number of the exponent doesn't matter. I'm just putting a number there. But this one has 3 parts to it, and that is, what do you do when you're dividing the same base? So I usually do this. I just put a big woohoo. I don't know what you call that. It sort of looks like a face of Frankenstein. Put a little eye there and mouth there. Hee hee. So what do you do if the powers are the same? What do you do if the top power is bigger? And what do you do if the top power... Holy cow, what happened there? Is smaller. So let's start with this. What if I have x to the third divided by x to the third? So case number 1, the powers are the same. Well, remember, x cubed means x divided by x divided by x. X cubed means x divided by x divided by x. Now, does anyone remember, other than 0, because remember you can't divide by 0, because if 0's on the bottom, it's undefined. That is true all the time. So, but what's anything divided by itself? So when I cancel this out, I get not 0, but 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, because you're saying how many groups of 2 can I make from 2? So that's why it's 1. So this would be 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. And so that means when the powers are the same, the answer is 1. Now that brings up law number 5. Might as well bring it up now. What do you do when the power is 0? Well, notice there's a couple ways of looking at this, but whenever I'm dividing two things same base, I know the answer is 1. But if I use the division rule of subtracting, that means that anything to the power of 0 is 1. So I'm dividing this by this. I subtract the power. 3 minus 3 is 0. Now again, we have to put a stipulation. X can't be 0 because you can't divide by 0, so therefore we can't prove it. So what do you do when the top power is bigger? So for example, x to the 6th divided by x to the 4th. Well, you have 4 of these. You're canceling with 4 of these. Now, I could write out 6, write out 4 of x's, and then cancel one at a time. But I hope you notice that you'd still have 2 x's left over here. So, the rule says take the top power minus the bottom power. You're canceling out 4 of the 6. So just like up here, I'd cancel out 4 of them. So it's x squared. So this would be x to the m minus n. Needed to space this out better, but we'll go with it. So if I said what's x to the 100 divided by x to 80, could you imagine writing out 100 x's, writing out 80 x's, and then canceling out 80 x's? But you just say 80 of these cancel with 80 of these, so it'd be x to the 20th, or 100 minus 80 is 20. Try one on your lonesome. X to the 40 divided by x to the 35th. So 35 of these cancel with 35 of these, so it'd be x to the 5th. There's still 5 left over. Now, you could write it over 1, but you don't have to. The rule is write it with as little writing as possible. So if 1's on the bottom, you don't have to write it. Now the last part, what if the bottom one is bigger? So if I have x to the 10th divided by x to the 12th. Well, I could write out 10x's, write out 12x's. I think you would see that the 10 of these would cancel with 10 of these. So you'd still have 2 left over on the bottom. Now, we do have to write a 1 when it's a 1 on top. There's nothing there but a 1. Everything canceled, 1 times 1 times 1, 10 times. But we still got the x squared. So this rule would be 1 over x to the n minus n when the bottom power is bigger. See, the n is bigger than the m. So let's look at one here. Let's say I have x to the earth over x to the 20th. So 4 of these cancel with 4 of these. So this would be 1 because they're all canceled out over x to the 16th. So let's look at this one. 15x to the 15th, y to the 8th, z. Olivier, 10x to the 20, y to the 6, z. I'll move it up here. Now let's simplify this. Now remember, coefficients, a number times the variable, is different than a power. Here is a fraction. So you reduce it. One number goes into both? Well, 5. So 5 into 15, 5 into 10, that'd be 3 halves. Now, x to the 15th on top, x to the 20, 15 of these cancel with 15 of these, so that'd be x to the 5th. Then y to the 8th, why is it 6 of these cancel with 6 of these, so you'd have y squared on top, or 8 minus 6. And then the z's just cancel, and then 1 times anything is the anything. Boy, that's a long division bar I made, isn't it? So once again, no, that wouldn't work better. Once again, here's a bunch of problems, so freeze the frame, do them, and then turn me back on, and I'll do it. Well, welcome back. Now, for some reason, I put the easier problems on the bottom this time. So let's start there. 6 of these cancel with 6 of these. So it'd be, 1 over x to the 4th. 15 of these cancel with 15 of these. So 5 left over. All of it cancels. So just uno. Let's see here. 5 goes into both, so we can reduce that to 1 half. X to the 6th, x to the 4th. 4 cancels out from the top and the bottom, so you have 2 left over. 8 of these cancel with 8 of these, so it'd be y to the 12th. This one, I don't know if you saw that one, but 8 of these cancel with 8 of these, so it'd be x to the 12th on the bottom. 10 of these cancel with 10 of these, so it'd be 4 left over on the bottom. And then z, one of them cancels, so that'd be z to the 19th. Now, if you want to put a 1 here and 1 here, I wouldn't mark it wrong. But again, in math, they like you to write as little as possible. So it's better to just leave it like that. Okay, let's see what we have here. Now, tried to trick you here. Tried to trick you. Everything is raised to the 0 power, and the rule is if you have something raised to the 0 power, the answer is 1. Not 1x, not 1 apple, just the number 1. The only thing influenced by the 0 power is x, so you actually have 5 times 1 is 5. Now these are a little trickier. This one, base raised to a power raised to another power, you multiply. Multiply the powers. Now we reduce it. 15 of these cancel with 15 of these. So that'd be x to the 45th. Now this one, we're going to multiply the bottom first. Why? I don't know. Rule says multiply and divide are the same level, but I think it'd be easier if we do the bottom first. Actually, this is sort of a grouping symbol, but let's do it. So that'd be x to the 10th, y to the 5th. Excuse me. So 6 of these cancel with 6 of these, so it'd be x to the 4th, and that's y to the 5th. Then we'll do the middle one. I don't know why I stretched it out like I did. 2 goes into both, so that'd be 6 over 5. X to the 6. 6 of these cancel with 6 of those. So you got x. 12 of these cancel with 12 of these, so it's y to the 6. And then z has no bottom, so that one stays on the top. Now, if you're struggling with this, don't panic for school. I'm just trying to get you ready. So we will do this again in class. So don't panic. If you feel like everything is swirling in front of you, don't panic. Remember, math is like a giant heart. It should just fill you up with happiness and love. Anyways, time to move on. Bye-bye.